Hi, Dot. What you got there? Did you make us some snacks?
Hey, Bouncy. I'm reading my favorite story in the Bible. It's when Jesus said goodbye to his disciples right before he was taken to the cross.
That sounds like a sad story. Why do you like it so much?
I guess it helps me feel connected to those 12 people who Jesus first chose to be his followers.
Yeah, I've always wished I could be one of those guys.
Well, this story tells about a way we can be just as close to Jesus as they were. It shows one thing we can do to be Jesus' disciples too.
Really? But wait, Dot. What does that have to do with snacks?
Just let me tell you the story, Bouncy. You'll see. Jesus knew it was almost time for him to die, but it was also time for a very special holiday.
Like Easter?
It was Easter time. It was a feast called the Passover that God's people had celebrated since Moses' time. Jesus wanted to share this meal with his 12 disciples. He planned to show them how to remember him after he was gone, using the wine and bread from the table.
The snacks! Is that why you have grape juice and crackers?
That's right, Bouncy. Jesus held up a cup, drank it, and said, "This is my blood. It's poured out for you. Do this to remember me." He held up the bread, broke it, and took a bite. "This is my body, broken for you. Do this to remember me." So all his disciples drank and ate.
Dot?
Yes, Bouncy?
This is a sad story. I don't understand why Jesus would want them to remember such a sad day. Jesus dying for us, giving up his body and his blood for us, that's not a memory I like thinking about. Why didn't Jesus tell them to remember the happy times?
They did have lots of happy times. Walking together, telling stories, learning about God. Miracles. But none of that matters if it wasn't for what Jesus did on the cross. His blood had to be poured out. His body had to be broken. It is sad in a way, but it's the most wonderful thing God could ever do for us. That brings it all back to us. We can do this to be just like Jesus and his disciples. It's called the Lord's Supper, or communion.
Dot, you know I'm gonna have to ask what communion means, right?
Communion means to share something, to be close together, to be connected. You know, like in a community. When we take communion with grape juice and crackers, we're showing that we remember what Jesus did. Not by just thinking about how his blood was poured out and his body was broken on the cross, but living like that, doing what Jesus did, being broken and poured out too.
Whoa! I don't want to die on a cross!
Not die how he died, live how he lived. Show that you'll do whatever God says, just like Jesus did. That's how we can have communion with Jesus. That's why we do it.
You know I want to live like Jesus. Can we take communion right now?
It's really special. It's something your parents will want to be a part of. You should ask them first.
Well, Dot, I'm glad we talked about this. I want to be Jesus' disciple, just like those guys in the Bible.
Me too, Bouncy. Jesus wants all his followers to share communion with him and with friends like you.